The Book of Monkeytail2002, Book 1, Chapter 1. And it came to pass that the bones of many a great big beastie were found, and lo, a great cry went out amongst the masses of Utopia. O Lord, whence came these great big beasties with their so pointy teeth? They cried. However, the Lord did not answer, for he had nipped down to the pub for a quick pint and a game of dominoes, and the people quivered in fear at this. Chapter 2. And in a multitude of voices dissent was to rise among the faithful, so much so that several prophets would arise claiming to know what the Lord wanted, even though all the Lord wanted at the time was a kebab. And are you looking at me, pal? I'll fucking take you all on, so I will. The wisest of these prophets was to be a Renaissance man, and have knowledge of all things. He would come to wear the glasses of the pure, headphones of genius, and the moustache of the knowledgeable. He came among the people and spake thus: Hear ye not the words of the evil ones who would lead you astray until sobriety, for they are not among the holy ones. They need to be lectured at again and again until they are as inebriated as I, for I shall be mocked senselessly despite having the obvious truth. The most fervent of the prophets came next, and told how he once went to school for believers of those who would spill the Lord's Son's pint, only to be completely sober, until one day he heard the sound of the Lord, and the sound that he heard was the Lord vomiting after one too many. Finally, the greatest of the prophets would come forth riding a two-wheeled beastie. He would debate the sober of mind until he sought out the holy inebriation to shut him up. With his mighty helmet he would tell his former truth and ignore the naysayers. He would bring down the full force of the law against people, and it would prove as effective as a 60-year-old man doing a 100-metre sprint, and they would all hearken unto the incarcerated one. Chapter 3. The incarcerated one did explain how the sober ones had it all wrong about the great big beasties with the pointy teeth. The big beasties with the pointy teeth lived at the same time as the first man, woman, and hermaphrodite, and used their big pointy teeth to eat cabbages and bananas. The sober ones would have you believe that the great big beasties came first, but it is not so. The great big beasties did not survive the great closing of the pub. Only those that an old man with his family let onto a luxury cruiser survived the flood. That was our Lord's tears at not getting another pint in time. Yea, the crazy sober ones think that we started from nothing and rocks, not like all good drunk men who know the Lord made us with nothing but his power and some clay. And to prove of himself he built a great big theme park based around the event, and the Lord was pleased, for he could distract the barman of the celestial pub and steal several bottles. Chapter 4. Another would rise and claim that there was no half-pint, half-glass of whisky, which would be later known as the half and half. Then there was no changing levels of sobriety, but he was just a sidekick of the mighty one, the one that would come to show us the way of the mighty Lord. He would show it with a penis-shaped fruit that also had a skin that peeled backwards. The mighty yellow fruit showed more sober ones the truth of the Lord, and the Lord was pleased at this, and commanded the mighty one to deal with the sober ones in the street, out of the blue like. Chapter 5. It would come to pass that the sober ones would host a show, and clips would spread across the land of Utopia. It was called the Sober Experience, and it was hosted by several sober ones. The mightiest had the facial hair and was bald. He would often lie to the inebriated, and he was obviously angry at the Lord, though he doth refuse that fact most profusely. The mighty one made an appearance on the show, and gained the respect of the evil sober one, and converted more sober Utopians to the inebriated side. And thus, when the Lord woke up the next day with a massive hangover, and a traffic cone inexplicably between his legs, he was soothed by the sight of many Utopians being hung over too. And thus ends the Book of Monkeytail 2002.